Building sliders in Webflow is a stressful and frustrating process, and I know as a Webflow developer that it just isn't as easy as it should be. That's why I built Waterfall. It's a free slider solution specifically made for Webflow. It's powered by attributes and the very popular open source library Swiper.js. Waterfall is fully customizable with over 250 options, but it isn't overwhelming. And you can build it with an easy-to-use app. Of course, the most important thing, it is free across all of your websites. You can make sliders with full creativity without having to use any code, and that's the original goal of being a Webflow developer in the first place. So in this video, we'll go over the installation, how you set up Waterfall, and some of the basic settings, and I'll also go along and explain how everything works. In future videos, we'll explore modules like navigation, pagination, scroll bars, effects, so much more. So without further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. So the first thing is we're going to install the app. Now, currently the app is waiting for approval, but once it is, you can find it in the Webflow app marketplace and install the Webflow app. So I'll just go ahead and launch this. This is the local development version, so things might look slightly different once the app is officially launched. So let's go ahead and take a look at Waterfall. Let's go over to the Setup tab, and we just need to install this script on our website. So I'll go ahead and copy that and go over to the custom code, and then you can just paste that script right into the head. And if you do want to, you can also place this specifically only on a page that has the swiper if it's not on every page. Okay, and that's all the setup. So let's get started creating. Now, what I've set up before this is just basically some example cards of spa packages. There's no functionality built into this. Everything is just built with Webflow elements. So be creative, make something very cool, and this is just for this demo. Okay, so we're going to open the Waterfall app, and the first thing I need to mention is very important is you need to have an element selected. If you don't have an element selected, like a component, for example, this will not work, and that's because Webflow cannot add children to a component. It can only add children to a element. So now that we have that selected, let's take a look at the general settings, and we're just going to give this a name of demo, and then you can turn on the debug option if you want to during development. All that does is print out some configuration inside of the console so you can see the exact settings that are being used. And then lastly, the content type. This is only important for the creation process, but you can change out the content inside of a waterfall as you want. So if I click CMS and then I decide I want it to be static later, you can definitely do that. But for this purpose, I will just do static and click create. All right, so here you'll see the structure that is generated by the app. And what you'll notice is that if you've used Swiper.js before, the layout is very similar, just with this extra wrapper outside of it called Waterfall. You can actually name this whatever you want, it's not important, but we'll just keep it as is for now. Inside of that, if you go over to the settings, you can see these attributes that are being used to power the app. So we've got the Waterfall name that we set, debug, and then the content. So the way that this works is all of these attributes speak directly to the Swiper.js library, and then it initializes everything for you. Inside of that, there's Swiper. These names are important. You do need to keep Swiper, Swiper wrapper, and Swiper slide exactly named that way for it to work. The Swiper is basically a container, and then the Swiper wrapper is basically the layout of the Swiper. And then the Swiper slide contains each slide of the slider. All right, so that's the basic layout. Now let's take our spa packages and put them into the slider. So all we're gonna do is drag that inside the Swiper slide. And then let's duplicate this. And we'll just drag the other two slides directly in. And what you'll notice is everything looks correct. So let's go ahead and hit publish. Let's refresh. And you'll see not much exciting is happening, but if you click and drag, you can see that the swiper functionality is working as intended. So you can drag back and forth between these three things, and it's all working. One thing that I do definitely recommend doing is to create components for each of your waterfalls. And the reason I like doing this is because you can reuse them across different sites very easily, and across your website you can build swipers with pre-configured settings built onto them. So let's go over the process of how that would work. I'm going to click this and can create a component, and let's call this demo waterfall. Now, as you can see, we've got those attributes here, and that's really where all of the magic happens. So I'm going to add in a slot where we can add the swiper. Let's call this content. And then I'm going to cut this and close it out, and we'll just paste that back in. Now let's go ahead and create a component for this content. Let's call this demo swiper content. And then we can now drag that into that slot. And we'll go publish, just to make sure everything's still working. And you can see everything is still working as intended. So the benefit of that is now you can change out the content, but keep all of the functionality of that swiper just inside of this component. So now let's go ahead and edit some settings. To do that, you'll see it's actually already open, but I'm going to close out of that so you can see what this will look like. So you can see one quirk of turning it into a component is Webflow cannot actually detect the attributes inside of the component. So in order to edit a waterfall once it's been turned into a component, just double click it to view the inside, and you can click refresh here, and now it will show up. So we'll click it, and now we are editing this waterfall. Let's take a look at the layout section. So here we've got some common things to change, like the direction if you're building a vertical swiper. I'm going to keep this one horizontal. I think it looks better. You can change the initial slide that it starts on. But let's go ahead and add some space in between our slides. I'm going to add 30 pixels by default. But you can see we also have the option to configure that setting across breakpoints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to 10 on mobile, 20 on tablet, and we'll do 30 on desktop and above. And then let's do the same thing for slides per view. I'm going to set this to 1 by default, 1 on mobile, and then let's do 2 on desktop, since we can maybe fit a little bit more. Let's go ahead and click Save. Now you can see all of those attributes have been updated on the right side here on our waterfall element. So all we need to do is go ahead and publish, and let's take a look. I'll refresh, and now you can see I'm now fitting the 2 slides per view. And then if I go to a smaller layout, there we hit that tablet breakpoint. Now we're just showing 1 per view. I know it doesn't look that great with 2, I'd probably keep it at 1, but wanted to make sure I could show that off. And there's also that space between. Let's take a look at the playback options. All right, playback. Let's change the speed. Let's do, so this is in milliseconds. Let's do something slower, maybe 2000. And we're going to add the option to rewind the slides when it reaches the end. And let's turn on autoplay. The delay of 1 second or 1000 milliseconds. Let's hit save and publish. And you can now see that we've got our autoplay, and when it reaches the end, it will rewind back to the start. Doesn't look all that great, but you guys get the idea. Okay, so that's all I've got for this first video. Just wanted to show you the basics of creating a demo waterfall. I do want to make sure that you guys take a look at the Webflow website for more information, and the next video will be linked down below, and we'll go over some more of the advanced settings like navigation, scroll bar, pagination, and much more. But I hope you guys really enjoy using Waterfall. Please give me any feedback that you have for the package, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.